Hello everyone, and welcome to a very different episode of analyzing today's UFO clips. Today we'll be doing something different in that we'll only be concentrating on one particular case, the Mauricio Ruiz footage from 2008. In this episode, we'll try to link certain things from the footage to well-known UFO information, as well as cross-reference it with Bob Lazar's appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast. We'll also build a 3D model to try to better understand the possible size and shape of the craft, and do a small comparison to the size of a Tesla that was created by, let's face it, another alien. But first, if you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of these episodes, and because I really appreciate it and it really helps my channel. Now before I begin, I'd like to say that while it's important to find the truth when it comes to the UFO subject, it's also good to have a bit of fun from time to time and keep an open mind. So that being said, today we'll be featuring a video that Mauricio Ruiz took back in 2008. According to Mr. Ruiz, he caught this object floating close to his backyard in Alvin, Texas. He claims the footage was affected by some sort of magnetic interference, and also that shortly after his camera battery ran out. Now, we're not here to dissect the validity and authenticity of the video, because there's been much discussion over the years that this footage is real and also that it's completely fake. But that's not why we're here today. Like I said earlier, today we're here to have a little bit of fun, and we're going to assume that this video is real. Yes, we're going to assume that this footage is real for this video, and after the video's over, we'll go back to being skeptical. I know I will, as usual. Okay, so what makes this video pretty good in the world of ufology? Well, to begin with, it's pretty convincing as far as there being an actual object in the scene. In other words, I don't think this is amateur 2008 CGI magic. And well, people have said it looks like a patio heat lamp, and well, it does. But then again, the Navy's Tic Tac UFO probably looked like a Tic Tac. And the traditional flying saucers that have been reported over the years probably look like saucers. But when it came to watching this footage recently, something really stood out to me from the footage, and it's one of the main reasons I'm making this video. There are lights that seem to come off and on from the bottom of the craft. There seems to be 3, and if this is a real UFO, I don't think these are lights. I think these could be those gravity emitters that Bob Lazar talked about on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Underneath them are the gravity emitters that look like, for lack of a better word, a trash can hanging on a pipe. 3 of those.
Working and interacting with the atmosphere and giving off a luminous effect as they release energy. But again, that's just me guessing and having a bit of fun. But let's go down that road. I built a crude 3D model to illustrate what I mean. Here you can see where I think these emitters could be located. Now let's move around my 3D model a bit more. As you can see here, I think this is a pretty good scale model recreation of what we see in the scene. And here's what it would look like from the top, from the side, and from the bottom. And here it is in silver. So I started thinking, how big do you think this UFO is? Well, if my model is relatively accurate just by looks alone, let's do some measuring. According to Bob, the craft he worked on had 3 compartments.
Directly underneath them, there's 3 levels in the craft.
A top area where he thinks that their version of navigation or computer would be located, the middle section where they all sat and interacted, and the bottom level where the gravity emitters were. If you've been into the UFO subject for a while, you know that gray aliens have been reported to be childlike in size, somewhere between 3.5 and 4.5 feet. So let's go right down the middle for this example, and let's assume that they're 4 feet tall, shown here by our 1 foot by 1 foot measuring blocks. Then we're going to assume that they want 1 foot of clearance between their heads and the ceiling. After all, if you watched the Joe Rogan interview, Bob said that the inside of the craft was pretty crammed, and you couldn't really stand up straight until you reached the middle of the craft he worked on.
So you get inside this thing, and it's designed for something that's much smaller than a human being.
Yeah, you can't really stand up till you get to the very center of it.
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
And what do you think this was designed for?
I'd say something close to half my height.
Wow.
So with those measurements in place, let's measure the length of the ship. Using our measuring blocks, we can see that the craft would be approximately 45 feet in diameter. And what did Bob say about the length of the craft he worked on?
What is the roughly the size of this thing?
It's I don't remember from being there, but after all this stuff was over, I had John Andrews, a guy from the Testers Model Corporation, and we sat down and tried to figure out from what I saw and known sizes of things, and we came up with 52 feet in diameter.
I'd say that's pretty close. To give you a real-world idea of how big that is, it's approximately the length of 3 Tesla Model 3s. 3 Tesla Model 3s? Does Mr. Musk know more than he lets on? Just kidding. Let's not let our brains fall out of our heads. So what do you think? It's pretty easy to go down the UFO rabbit hole, isn't it? But wouldn't you agree it's fun? Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of these videos. And as always, keep your eyes to the sky, your cameras ready, and an open mind, because we love the UFOs. Till next time.